All right. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Coffee Q&A live stream, your daily dose of Coffee Q&A here on the OnoCoffee Challenge. Your host, and today, this is, if you're just starting for the very first time or watching this replay, this is the Coffee Q&A. We do it most Monday through Fridays, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We talk about coffee and whatever nonsense may come our way. So, how are you doing? Dust is floating everywhere. So yesterday, how's it going? Oh, who's with us? Craig's with us. What's going on, Craig? He's first. Excellent. Aloha to you, Keone. And half a day to you as well, Andrew. Kent, good to see you. I know this is Scandinavian. Like, would you say hey? Hey? Is it hey? Like, I only say that, Kent, because I know you're in Norway. And I know that, well, I think that it's different, right? IKEA Swedish. Oh, IKEA Swedish. So that's different, right? Different. Sorry. I just go to IKEA and they have that big, what is it, H-E-J hanging on, like they paint it on the big walls. Hey, is it hey or is it hej? The American in me wants to say hej, but Anyway, so yesterday I was out roasting. Craig said hej is in Swedish, but is it? Oh, it is hey. Okay, there we go. Okay, yes. And George has a nice haircut. Thank you. I went to a barber recently and had a nice haircut because what was I doing? I needed to get a haircut for some reason. I think I went to a party or something. I can't remember. Anyway, yesterday I was roasting coffee and Matt came by and he was like, I have this coffee that I really don't like or I haven't really enjoyed. And I was like, really? He says two coffees. He's got this one coffee that he doesn't really enjoy and another coffee that he thinks is terrible, a cold brew. And I was like, really? And I was like, well, let me borrow some of that coffee and let's give it a try and see what we can see to find out whether or not, maybe there's just approach of doing it. Like, for example, this particular coffee here, this is a Pear Notes coffee from Nicaragua. Now, this Pear Notes coffee is one that I cupped maybe a year ago or so when it first came out, and I really liked it as a coffee. So when he was like, he said, I haven't really been liking it. I was like, really, that's kind of strange. So he's got this big 6-kilo Gießen roaster. And I thought after we started this process yesterday, I was like, I should have live streamed this, but because I think it was interesting. We have this big 6-kilo roaster, so I was roasting a bunch of coffee on it, and probably did about 6 batches on it. So the machine has been running for well over an hour or two, and so it's really well heated. And, 6 kilos is 14 pounds or so, something like that. And he was like, I said, well, let's roast some of the Pear Notes and give it a try. I said, let's just do a pound. And I was thinking, well, maybe a pound's too little. Let's do 2 pounds so we have some extra coffee. So he'll have some and I'll have some. So, 2 pounds of coffee in a 6-kilo roaster is very, very small. Like, if you're not really conscious of what you're doing, you could very easily lose control of the roast. And so what we did is after it's well heated, so brought the temperature down to about 420 degrees or so, cooled down the drum as much as I could by leaving the door open, and then dropped the flame to just as barely as I could possibly keep. Because what I'm really doing is I'm relying upon the cast iron of the drum and the machine to really be the transfer of heat, right? We're not really talking about convective heat, right? The air blowing through the coffee, like we would like in a Civets or a Loring style roaster. We're really relying upon conductive energy. So where the contact of the drum to the bean is where most of the heat transfer will occur. But the drum is superheated, or it's well heated. It's fully soaked in heat, and it's got good thermal characteristics to hold the temperature because it's cast iron, and then eventually transfer it to the coffee. But if we apply more heat, then it goes too fast. So the milestones in coffee roasting are basically you drop the coffee in, you want to see the turn of the bean temperature probe to happen right around a minute 30. And then right around 4 minutes, you want to see yellowing. And then about 9 minutes, you want your first crack. You're going to have all that development through that period. But like I said, since it's such a small quantity of coffee, it's very easy to lose control. So it's really about so I drop the coffee in or watch it. Now it's just too little amount of coffee for the mass of beans to cover the bean probe. So really, I'm not getting much reading at all, other than 393. It just says 393 for most of the time that we're roasting. And it's like, okay, everything now has to be by feel and visual inspection and intuition, right? And so we're rolling, and the flame is very low. And then I was like, it's going well. Actually, it was going surprisingly well. And then after a few moments, I was like, okay, let's cut the heat. So cut the heat completely, then let it run. So right around 4 minutes, we're getting that yellowing, right? So I was like, oh, okay, we're doing all right. But as we moved into like 6 minutes, I was like, okay, maybe we need to have a little bit more heat just to push it along. So brought the flame back, very, very low heat, like maybe half a column inch was the amount of heat that we were able to apply. And then just let it run. And finally, we ended. I was able to then kill the heat again after maybe like around 7 minutes, or maybe even less than that. And then let it run until about 9 minutes. It took about 9 minutes, 45 seconds is the results we're getting here. So that's the basic roast profile that we're using for this, which evidently is a little bit lighter. And we went past first crack. So first crack happened right around 9:15, I think. So we rolled it past that. Now, typically, if I'm going towards like a more of a full city roast, I'll probably wait about 45 seconds past the end of first crack. I didn't wait quite as long in this case. And really, I'm just kind of like just judging. It's a lot of, the trier I'm using the trier like nonstop to see the development, because with this much mass of energy to the small quantity of coffee, you don't really know if it's going to like suddenly take off or what could happen. So I'm always checking. And then just kind of stopped at a point because I like the color. So George says, it's going to be a long show if we're going to observe. Well, we're just going to sit here and watch it. That's really the plan. All right, so we've got our pear notes coffee here. We've got a little, so let's open it up. And, ooh, there is a nice aroma coming from that bag just from the tear. Now, this was roasted less than 24 hours ago. So as you can see, just kind of a nice, not quite second crack, not very much, but a bit past first. So a nice little bit of development. I like this style. I think maybe there's a little bit of nuttiness on the smell. I don't know. The idea is we're gonna taste this coffee and see how it is. But while we're going to do, what we're also going to do today is another thing I mentioned was the coffee about the cold brew. And the cold brew is a different coffee. It's a coffee from an area of Nicaragua that they call the community coffee, and I think it's in Matagalpa. It's Matagalpa, which is a cooperative coffee. And what Matt was like, to me it has a dirty taste. And so Matt roasted this maybe 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. And it's just sitting in a bag. So I was like, let me take some of that and see what we can see. So we're going to grab this one. And this is what we're actually going to make. Because he was like, this doesn't really as good as cold brew. And I was like, and he would like to use it as a cold brew. Or he would like to consume it somehow. And I was like, well, maybe you can make it into cold brew. But I thought, let's take a look at it and see how it tastes. One of his big tasting notes was dirty taste. So I put that there so that I would remember that he described it as dirty taste. So let's have a look at his roast of this coffee. And I'm going to make sure they're kind of close in roast profiles. Right? Actually, they are very similar roast profiles. Look at that. Craig says that hot brew over ice. Oh, we should do that. And George likes the color. That was a nice coloring on the coffee. Russell, how are you? Good morning to you. Peter's asking, is that T-shirt your? No, this is actually a T-shirt. This is a defunct or no longer operating coffee conference that used to happen and it actually started in Easton, Pennsylvania. My good friend of mine, Troy Raynard, started this coffee conference called. It actually started as a barista throwdown. So back when we were a lot younger, there was things called barista throwdowns where baristas would come together and they would just kind of in friendly competition make latte art and throw down. and things like that. And Rick Troy started it in conjunction with his roaster, which is New Harvest Coffee Roasters of Pawtucket, Rhode Island. And they wanted to do a little bit of and also another person that was really influential in that is, or was, Michelle, I can't remember her last name. Anyway, Michelle, who ran, at the time, owned a place called Max Crema's in Berks County, Pennsylvania, or Bucks County. Whatever the Berks County that is in Philadelphia, it is not that one. It is just the one that's outside of Reading, PA, right? So her and Troy and New Harvest Coffee Roasters started doing this thing in Easton, Pennsylvania, where they would have, a gathering for baristas and coffee people. So, and they were small gathering. And this was just kind of, and not as a competition to other coffee conferences, but just a separate one for its own. And slowly it evolved into what they called the Maine, MANE, the Mid-Atlantic Northeast Coffee Conference. Eventually, after a couple of years, New Harvest really started to take over because they had just the better resources. And they brought the show to Pawtucket, where we were there for quite a few years. And this is one of the shirts. This is a shirt from 2011. And I was very honored to be a constant presenter. I was typically a presenter at each of the mains. And what I really liked about this conference was that it was a very small conference, and you had this really ability to have an intimate time with everyone, right? Like if you go to something like the SCA show, those are great, but they're massive, massive shows. So, everybody gets lost in the mix, right? Like you see your friends, like I've had friends for decades in this business, and like I may see a glance of them, or I might not see them at all, right? Like one of my friends, commented, Scott Connery who owns Carborough Coffee. We saw each other just like once during the show. And later when we were on a post, he was like, did we get a photo together? And I was like, no, we didn't get a photo together. Normally we do, but it's like but with the main conference, you just have it's just a small show. Everybody's contained, and you just get a lot more interaction and a lot more quality interaction with people that you may not have necessarily gotten to meet at a larger show, right? So, but it's always been my favorite of the coffee conferences anywhere that I've been to. And I still have some t-shirts, and actually I'm wearing it because, I can fit in the t-shirt again, or actually ever. So yeah, they should make more merch. Naomi, good morning to you. I know it's been a while. How you doing? Good to see you. George says, so Matt roasted the beans. He is enjoying the cold brew. Yeah, so this one Matt roast. These are both coffees that he purchased. Pear Notes from Nicaragua, as well as the Matagalpa Community Coffee, both from Nicaragua. He roasted this maybe 2-3 weeks ago before his surgery. I roasted this yesterday in a very small batch. So these are the two coffees we're looking at. He's not happy with the performance of either coffee. And I'm just like, well, this could be interesting stuff for us to discuss here on the show. So let's have a look at it. Now, if we look at this roast, maybe for a cold brew, I might have gone a little bit dark. I don't think that he roasted this initially as an intention for cold brew. Maybe he did. I don't recall. But I think I would probably go a little bit darker for the cold brew. But, to each your own. That's just my instinctual feeling at the moment, not necessarily based on anything. A lot of it always is about how does it taste when you actually brew it. And that's what we're going to find out. However, since George was mentioning it's going to be a long show. This is a coffee we will taste tomorrow. This is a coffee we will taste today. See, Naomi, everyone misses you. George says that the Gregory's coffee team always used to somehow find themselves in barista throwdown. I mean, it's a good time. It's a good time. Like I remember when years ago, I started this, we were doing a barista throwdown, and I was like, we need to make a variation on this. Like latte art and cappuccino cups. Yeah, that's fine. That's fun. That's fun. But let's make it more difficult. Macchiatos only, and that's where macchiatos started. At one of the events that we did in DC, I pushed it on everyone to do macchiato latte art because it's so small and it really pushes your skills. Like I don't know, I wasn't very good at. I was never very good at latte art. I was a finalist in the 2004 latte art championship, the World Latte Art Championship that was being held in Washington D.C. during the Coffee Fest trade show. And I think I have a photo. I have to look. I have a photo somewhere in my files. And I really need to show it to you because, like, I need to find it because you know what? If you look at this latte art, it is dismally, like, it is horrifically bad. Like, I mean, so bad. Like, it's just terrible, just terrible. And how did I get to be a finalist? Was because there was only like 6 of us. So, you know, but I can say I'm a world latte art finalist. So, you know, that's don't have to see the results, do you? Neri says, when I don't like a coffee, I add ice cream and sugar. Yes, I totally hear you on that. Peter says, if you don't like your coffee, upsell it to something exotic for discerning connoisseurs. That's how you, I agree. Like yesterday, I was out with my cousin. My cousin is visiting from Honolulu. So he's staying at his sister's house. And so my cousin got this side business of doing cookies called Chihu's cookies. Really, I helped him with the development a few years back. And I mean, like these are addictive cookies. I'm telling him I'm gonna take a bag and use it on this show one morning while he's here. He's here for like 2 weeks. But like everyone's like with coffee roasting, you burn a batch, right? Like you forget and you lose track and you burn a batch. And so he's burnt like a couple batches since he's been here in the last like few days. And I said to him, what do you do with the ones you burn? He's like, well, I eat them. You mean you eat them? He's like, I was like, these cookies cost you like how much per cookie? You're gonna eat them? You gotta sell that. He's like, it's pretty burn. And he had a batch of burn last night. We're at his sister's house, and I'm like, what are these? He's like, these are the burn ones. I said, let me try it. And they're burned, like they're dark roasted, right? But they're still hella good. Like quart container, I housed that container. I was like, I'm gonna eat this. I said, dude, I'm gonna eat this whole container right here. And I was like, you're eating your own profit, man. You need to sell that. And I said, dude, you need to sell that and sell that as like a limited edition. Be like, this is only for the cookie connoisseurs, right? The cookie cognoscenti will want these darker roasted ones. Yeah. Definitely. Peter says, I'm looking at a cafe. Oh, I'm totally with you because when I started with Spro and we started doing our own roasting in 2008, people would come in and they'd be like, do you have dark roasted coffee? And I'd be like, I'm sorry, we don't do dark roasted. Like it was our philosophy. No dark roasted coffee. Dark roast is an abomination. It's meant for charlatans who don't deserve any respect, right? Again, the hubris of being young in the business. So one day I'm roasting, and as it's going to happen, you lose track. Something distracts you, and then suddenly you're like past second crack. You're like, oh no. And you know, I talk to my friends in the business, and they're all like, you know, what do we do if you burned your coffee? I just throw it away. Throw it away. And I thought about that after I pulled this batch out. I was like, I'm going to throw away this $6 coffee? Are you crazy? Like that's total loss. And so I was like, you know. But I knew there were people that were asking about dark roasted coffee. So I took it to the shop. I put it in a jar and I put it on the display. And I was like, when people walked in, do you have dark roasted coffee? We do. And the nice thing the thing that I was most proud about that dark roasted coffee was that people really enjoyed it. But more importantly, like a lot of dark roast coffee companies, a lot of companies that do dark roast will buy cheaper quality coffees because they think that the people that are asking for dark roast don't deserve nice quality coffee, and they can get away with it because it's going to burn. They're going to add more of that char to it. Now, we never took it to the heavy duty adding the char flavor to it, but it would just be darker roasted. And I learned by that experience that, you know, even though it is darker roasted, the qualities of the coffee are still holding fast. You're still going to have a great coffee experience, even though it's darker roasted, because you're using a great quality coffee. So we never changed the quality of coffee that we bought for dark roast. And after that, we ended up doing dark roast as part of our offering, but always with our premium, you know, our highest end quality beans, you know, that we would normally use for, let's say, the house roast or something like that. And I think that's very important. And just like with the decaf, you know, in the coffee business, you tend to have this attitude that like, oh, dark roast people, they don't like coffee as much, or decaf people, they definitely don't like coffee because why do they even bother drinking it? But these are the guys that they love the flavor. So why not give them a great experience too? So that's all. That's my thought. That's my thought for a Tuesday morning here in. Paige says, I like how Emily Bryant did the 4-hour live stream cover critiquing latte art yesterday, and I couldn't come to the worst of. Well, Emily, it's funny. I saw her first one. I saw the listing for her first one last week, and I was like, I looked at the times because I was looking at the timestamps on videos before I click on it. And I was like, 3 hours. I was like, 3 hours. Holy smokes! Like Emily's like a live stream for 3 hours. That's a lot of talking. And actually, the one that she dropped yesterday or this morning, I actually clicked through it this morning. I was like, oh, click, because I just wanted to see. I was watching her the one where she talks about. She released another video, which I guess is a clip from her last week's live stream, where I think I'm guessing, but where she's talking about the cappuccinos, right? People that are making latte arts that look like dildos. And I was like, oh, that's just kind of funny. Like she's done a video before on cappuccinos. I remember seeing that maybe a year ago, but I always think it's kind of funny. I did leave a snarky comment. I was like, she said she made a quote about. She said if you look at the comments on that video, you'll see that I'm one of the commenters, and like she said something like quoted never. It doesn't look like it's a human. It doesn't look human or something like that. And I was like, yeah, but but did they still put it in their mouths? Okay, that's a bit risque. Probably not safe for work. But yeah, I do like that. I mean, I think that 4 hours, 3 hours that's epic live streaming. That's epic live streaming. Craig says Coffee Fest World Latte Art Championships are not part of the WCE. Yes, they are not. They are not. But they're the ones that give you money. They give you money. Which, so you're the latte art champion of the world. Cool. I think I'd rather have cash. And I say this as a guy that was the WCE rep for many, many years. Mom, good morning to you, man. How are you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you. Paige says, my boyfriend is very discerning. He still enjoys his store-based pre-ground on occasion. But that's all right. That's all right because, sometimes you just have that love. Like I grew up in a very, I grew up as an immigrant and from an immigrant family here in Baltimore. And I grew up in an area that was very blue collar, very salt of the earth. And I'm very used. I was very much around that in all of what I knew back then. And so, like, no matter how much you can make, like I can make a nice bechamel and add like Gruyere and all this Munster and all this other stuff to make and pecorino to make a beautiful like mac and cheese. Sometimes you just like that orange craft mac and cheese just once in a while from the box with the cheap the cheap everything because it just got this flavor that's like, which is why I like those like old school raised donuts from like the old school bakeries because it's just kind of like. So I get it. I get what your boyfriend is, So you can be very fancy, but sometimes you just go back to the basics. George says, hey there, Mom. How's your start? How's your start to summer, Mom? Oh, I'm falling behind. Craig says, sort of like how American champagne can be made in California. No, let's not get started on the nomenclature of like wines before the French start to come and like attack us. We don't have any French viewers, and we might get them because you're saying things like champagne in America, and they're going to be mad and then start to spam us. Peter says, I'm going to make beautiful latte art and deconstruct it into another. I like that. Actually, I would love to see that. Okay, let's take a moment while let's make some coffee first. Let's make some coffee so we can have some coffee. We're going to taste it. We're going to get our scale here. We're going to do this coffee first. Now, I was thinking, like, I'll take this coffee, this pear notes, and I was thinking, let's cup it. But then, you know what? The cupping, who does cupping in the real world? We'll save the cupping for Friday, which is going to be our Omniel show. Yesterday, I said we might do it today, and then Omniel saw the episode, and he messaged me, and he was like, hey, actually, I'm only free on Mondays and Fridays. And I was like, oh, well, then we will do it on Friday. That's easy enough. Okay, so we got our scale. Whoops. Now, the last couple times I'm going to brew with we're going to do the pour over Kogu again. We've been kind of using that lately. And what we've been learning is that this, I think this grind has been a little bit, we're going to go to 6 on the, what do you call it? Yeah. Nice, nice. Okay. I need I also need a filter. We're just going to use the common Melita number 4 paper filter. What are we looking for here? I'm looking for the brewer, Kogu brewer. And because it is this conical shape, we are just going to do the fold over method, right? Just fold from corner to corner of the seams. Just like that. Put that in. Now it's going to be all like, you need to like remember how to do your scale work. Okay, so tear that. Let's see. Am I getting this correctly? Okay, that's teared. Now we're ready for the coffee. Add the coffee. 23.4. So we lost some coffee. Oh, what's going on with the retention here? Oh. 23.7. Wow, look at that. Oh, Gen 2 is failing us here. We had 24.1 and now we only have 23.7. This is a distressing situation. Let me heat up the water again. George says that I don't think there's any legit winemakers in Cali who use champagne on their labels anymore. Instead, they describe it as méthode champenoise. The méthode champenoise. That's a good one. Peter says, I call it. I hate that. Russell says, Beck's Italian roast is the best dark roast. I make perfect espressos. Oh, Beck's. I'm not familiar with Beck's. I'm not familiar with it. Where are they from? And then Craig says the Cali branded champagne has come from a company that was making champagne before March 2006. Oh, was it one of those Chilla companies? I have to say, like, Chilla Lambrusco. Like, I haven't had it since I was like probably in my teens, but I did enjoy the sweet, grapey flavor of that when it was cold. Or I serve you an empty. I like that. I like that idea. Paige said she had a pizza break in the middle. I saw that. I just when I was clicking through, I saw she had a pizza break. But did she actually eat pizza? But I didn't watch the entire. Okay. Did she get? I wonder if she got delivery or did she go out to get pizza? Russell says critiquing Swan next. I'm happy if I make a sad tune. Did she critique? I only like skipped through it. I did not watch a lot of it. Just because I see 3 hours, I'm like, I have to find out. I have to like, maybe if I'm in the workshop working on some stuff, then I can just put that on and just kind of listen to it. All right, let's get a preponderance of hot water in this kettle. Oh, shake. Let's even that out. Oh, this button. Oh, gosh, this is so difficult. I gotta say, this kettle, this Kogu kettle, has a heavy restriction, but I'm liking it. Like it's super narrow, the spout, but it really does, and it's really like, and the way they've curvatured it, like I don't have to tilt it very far over for it to start to pour, which is I'm finding to be very pleasing. Let me flatten that out. I'm going to flatten that out just a little bit so we don't have it so. Paige says that her boyfriend just wants the caffeine. However, I gotcha. Kiana says it's interesting. It is interesting. Instant or pre-ground coffee was much more expensive than beans was when I was growing up, at least in Hawaii. So we always had to grind our own beans. I wonder if that's because, all the ground stuff was imported, which is what made it cost more. I actually never drank coffee when I was young. I thought it was kind of gross. Like, my dad drank it, but I was like, ugh. Payne says, I made a shot with my very pricey Pepe Hihon beans the other day. Oh, nice. Calculated that 18 grams of beans was about $4 worth of it. But it was one of the best. Oh, see? That's awesome. I mean, $4, like, if you were to go get Pepe Hihon prepared for you at a coffee shop, I'm sure it would cost more. So $4, not too bad. That brewer can't use. No, it's not a fact that it can't use a V60 filter. I'm sure it can. I just like using these because I'm cheap. And the Kogu filters that I do have Kogu filters, but they're in the workshop, not here at the bar. But also, one of the reasons why when we use these at Spro for many, many years, and what I like about these is also I like to use them here because it's like to show that you don't necessarily have to go buy super fancy filters. You can just get, these are super easy to get. You can buy them pretty much at any grocery store. Costco sells 400 for like some ridiculously cheap price. So you can really get quite economical with the filters. And I don't really find... Some of you probably will think that I'm a charlatan for this, but I don't really find that there's much difference between the filters. Oh, Paige said she ordered and had the pizza delivered. Okay. I'm not really, actually, I have not during this brew session been paying attention to my flow rate or how much I've been pouring or the timing. I've just been pouring, trying to keep the water level relatively consistent. And we're at 320, 305, our target's 345. So that's actually pretty good. So I think this 6 setting on the grind size for this coffee is actually doing very well. So I'm very pleased. So 320, we're maybe a little slightly slow. But right around 4 minutes, I think we'll finish. Oops, there we go. That'll bring us right around 4 minutes, and that should be good. Russell says that Beck's Coffee Roasters in Joelton, Tennessee. Russell, are you down in Tennessee or where is that right? Kent says, which Pepe coffee? The Sidra Wave? And Paige says it's the typical wave when English is so difficult. This is the typical wave natural cold ferment. Okay, interesting. And I also have a bag of the typical mejorado washed tioxy. What's tioxy? Is that some kind of like processing method? Peter says, my dad used to drink Indian style black and super sweet coffee. Loved it as a kid. Oh, is that the one? So I saw a video once where James Hoffman was promoting this Indian brewer. And I was like, oh, that's kind of curious. And it's like a multi-stage brewer. Is that the type of coffee you were talking about, Peter? Paige says, I had a bag of the Sidra Wave I finished a week or two ago from Black and White, and it was great as pour over. Never tried it as espresso. Oh, nice. And Ken says that the Hihons produce, they do produce great coffees. Oh, Russ is in Southern California. Okay, Southern California. Gotcha. Oh, that's right. We talked about the Gardena Bowl, I think, one time, right? Paige says, this is the first season that I've gotten to try Finca Soledad coffee. Oh, excellent. Okay, so we're done here with our brewing, right? It's all finished. I don't know how long it took us. It's a nice thing. You just toss it out. Like I love these little things. You just toss it and you don't have to worry about it. Okay, so let's have a look here at our coffee. Our elixir. So nice looking, right? Clear, good clarity. Now, like I mentioned earlier, we could have cupped this coffee, but I wanted to brew it this way because most people will not be cupping their coffees. Most people will, and nobody's going to set up a coffee cupping to enjoy a coffee. So really, the way that I think is most important to try it is as a brewed coffee, as someone at home maybe brewing the coffee or trying it or trying to enjoy it. So let's see. Oh, this is different than it used to be. Like I said, when it came out, like maybe a year or maybe a year and a half ago, and I have to look. I've used this coffee on this show in the past, and it's the same batch. And there's definitely a weird like twang right on the front of your tongue. It's just like like a very pungent fruit. What's the fruit I'm thinking of? Maybe like a bitter melon kind of character to it. What is a trop? I'm trying to think. I'm trying to locate what my description is, but I can't think of it. I feel like it's some kind of like pungent tropical fruit, kind of like, okay, so I'm having the reaction that I would to like durian, but it's not a durian flavor. But like, if you don't like durian, you have this reaction, and that's kind of my reaction to the coffee. So this could be a situation where, like I said, this coffee was roasted less than 24 hours ago, which somewhat should give a decent representation. We're gonna have to come back to it like in a week and see. But there is a weirdness to it. Now it's very beyond that weird pungency at the very onset of the mouth entering. It's very clean. Very clean, like super clean on the palate. The finish is very tight, and like the lingering finish has a little bit of a little bit of dryness, what might be comparable to a little bit of tannins from wine drinking, right? Like from like the oak and like a Chardonnay. Just a little bit, not heavy. Yeah, that's kind of strange. Peter says, nah, just grounds in a mug of hot water. Immersion, no fancy filter. I see. Indians love their jaggery. Oh, really? Keone asked jackfruit. No, I don't. Well, see, I really love jackfruit. Like, I will power through jackfruit very hardcore. So I don't. I mean, maybe there could be some relation to that. Maybe. I know some people say jackfruit has kind of a soapy character. It's not quite like that. You know, it's surely not bitter melon, though, right? I mean, it has a bitterness, a little bit of bitterness of a bitter melon, which I also think is a horrible thing. Like, I don't like bitter melon. I'm not a fan. My mom is always like, it's better for your health. I'm like, oh no. My whole mom's side of the family loves bitter melon. They're all about the bitter melon. I am not about the bitter melon. Some of my friends are bitter melon people. And I'm like, and I wanted to mess with them one day. So I was like, we had a dinner party. So I was like, I'm going to make dessert. So I brought them the dessert. In the Philippines, we call bitter melon ampalaya. So I brought them at ampalaya upside down cake. So upside down cake with bitter melon. And I couldn't believe it. They housed that cake. They housed the cake so hard. I was like, oh my God. It's disgusting. I was like, that's just. I did it as a prank, as a joke, as a lark. And they totally housed it. So what I did is I took the bitter melon, right, that I wanted to preserve. Okay, so bitter melon, while I don't like it, I like how it has rings, right? It's the interior, you can dig out the inside. So I cut them, I got as big a bitter melon that I could find, cut them into pretty thick rings, not that thick, right? Hollow out the center, and then candied them. I candied them in sugar syrup. So candied them for like, I don't know, it took 2 to 3 hours. Fully candied them, set them aside, cooled, then made the cake and used the candied ampalaya, or the candied bitter melon, and the syrup to make the cake. And man, they housed it. That you could the candying removed a lot of the bitter character, but there was still a good amount of bitterness to it. But man, they housed it. I couldn't believe it. Nobody says I learned to like bitter melon, but definitely not with coffee. Oh, yeah. Well, maybe in the cake version it might be all right. Paige says I thought about trying to grow them, mainly because they look cool. Oh yeah, no. I know. I mean, I don't even want them in my house. Like, oh no. Nobody. I mean, I know people love it. Like, and in the Philippine cuisine, there's something called pinakbet, right, which is from the northern part of the country. But people love that. But me, man, no. It's got bitter melon. No, anything with bitter melon, like. I can taste just a little bit of the bitter melon in any dish. I'm like, I'm going out for pizza. Peter says, I had some this week. It was awful. Kelly says, yes, when I was a kid, we had to eat one ripe fruit a month. Still don't like it. No, but wait, you eat? Oh, noni fruit. Oh, sorry, I missed that one. You know, I'm not familiar with the noni fruit. I don't think I've had that. Craig says it is as gross as a durian. Oh, no, that sounds not so nice. Peter does it for health. Okay, good. Naomi says that Okinawans typically enjoy bitter melon fried along with scrambled eggs. Oh, nice. Kent, how about you guys? Do you guys have bitter melon in Norway? Like, is bitter a preferred flavor experience in the Norwegian diet? Paige says, I've never tried bitter melon. Not exactly available. If you go to the Asian market, they're guaranteed they're going to have it. Guaranteed. Oh, it's so terrible. Cutie says, way worse. I like durian. Peter says durian is beautiful. Noni fruit is. Oh man, I need to try this noni. Maybe this is the kind of like taste is of noni. But I've not had noni, so unfortunately, I don't have a point of reference to correlate for that. Paige says there are varieties in the Baker's Creek catalog that look cool. I mean, they do have that nice, like kind of like texture. It is an interesting looking vegetable. And if you like bitter flavors, you will love it. Like I'm vehemently against it, but my family members love it. Like they love it. They will eat it. They'll tear it up. And maybe it's something that'll grow on me. Like when I was young, boiled peanuts seemed like a disgusting thing. Now, if there's boiled peanuts around, I'm going to house that down. I'm like, oh, boiled peanuts? That sounds good. We need more salt in the bowl. Like if my aunt makes it, like she doesn't like to put too much salt. I'm like, you need to put more salt in the water. What are you doing? And she's all vegan and healthy. I'm like, you need to put more salt. Like, just put more salt. It's all right. M0's with us. Tosh Sultana has a song titled "Bitter Lovers." Mad coffee house music. Oh, nice. Nobody says you have to salt the thinly sliced bitter melon, then squeeze out the bitter juice, rinse, then use and stir fry. Oh, you know what? I'm still reluctant. I don't think that. No, that doesn't work. I don't. Not for me. It doesn't. Like my mom will even do. Like she's done. Then again, I don't think she's telling me the truth. I think she's just like making it straight up and just like, I reduced. I put something to reduce it. No, you didn't. No, don't put it in an omelet. Don't do that. There's not enough ketchup in the world to cover that up. Russell says, I've only had bitter melon soup at Chinese restaurants, and I liked it. Oh, see, some people love it. Like, crazy people love it, but but no, some people love it, and I don't deny that. But man, it's for me. But I think me personally, in general, I'm not terribly fancy for bitter flavors. Like that's why I'm not a big fan. I wasn't a big fan of coffee for most of my life because a lot of it is really bitter, or IPAs. People love the hops, the bitterness from the hops. I'm not a fan of that at all. Like I just don't even want any part of that. So it's definitely something that some people really, really love. Really, really love. M0 says, also had a song about coffee. Oh, okay. All right. Awesome. And Paige says, I like the white pearl bitter melon. Oh, I've not had that. Yeah, anything that says melon and bitter, like I'm not even, I'm prejudiced against it. I'm a prejudiced person about bitter melon. I don't want to outlaw them, but I just don't want to, I don't want to party with them. Peter says, noni smells like rotten cheese. Oh, man, what is this noni? I've heard it. Sounds familiar, but I've never seen it. Ken says, bitter melon is not available here. I never heard of it. Oh, all right. There must be an Asian market somewhere if you wanted to really try it. It's not very good. It's terrible. It's terrible. Naomi says, Peter, I wonder who smelled that and thought they should take. Well, that's what I wonder about a lot of things. Like, let's say something as delicious as uni, which is the sea urchin, right? Like, or even like here in Maryland, like the blue crab, like there's this crab that runs around like, all angry. Like, but especially the uni, right? The urchin, like you got to be one hungry dude to be like, look at that spiny, angry looking sea creature. Let me see how it tastes. Like you got to be super hungry. Like I'm going to risk jamming my hand full of holes to grab this urchin and find a way to tear it open so that I can eat whatever's inside. Like that's desperate. That's gotta be desperation. Like now when you finally tear into it, like it's succulent, mucusy kind of meat inside. But man, like what? Crabs, like there's a crab down there. Let me tear that open and eat it. Like what? North Hawaiian guys, right? The Hawaiian guys, they're like, look, there's the opihi. And the opihi is like these mollusks that hold themselves to like rock formations. So and they're clinging for their lives on rock formations in surf, right? So these old Hawaiian guys, ancient Hawaiian guys were like, oh, I'm hungry. Look at that mollusk that's on that rock out there. Let me climb over these rocks, over the crashing wave to harvest these things and see if I can eat them. And they're little tiny bites. And you're just like, what do you do? You gotta be desperately hungry to do things like this. Like, I'm glad that we were born in the era that we are so that we can enjoy these wonderful, delectable bites. But man, like, I don't know about walking around the world, just be like, oh, I'm hungry. Let me put that in my mouth and try to eat it. Craig says he loves uni. Yeah, you get that nice sweet uni. God, it's so good. It's so good. Okay, let me roll it back a little bit. M0 says, put lemon in my coffee for the first time the other night. Not bad. Yeah, I think the lemon would be nice. The lemon would be nice. Paige says, I always wondered what human or humanoid in history saw and tried things. Exactly my thoughts. And then Paige wants to know, M0, if you've tried orange and coffee, even better. Yeah. I think Keone was telling me the other day he's been doing a lot of the orange and espresso, which is a very popular drink in Thailand. Well, I did a video about it a couple of years back, but evidently it's Orangina. And I use Orangina. I think they just use regular orange juice there because they got access to really good fresh squeezed orange juice. Which makes me now, when I don't talk about it, think about like in the Philippines, there's a particular style of orange called dalandan, which I get at the farmers markets there. I just love it. Like it's such a beautiful flavor. And I wonder how that would go with espresso now that we're thinking about it. Kira says that noni when ripe is very pungent, although they make something similar to somtam with the unripe fruit in Thailand, and that actually tastes good. Very different. Oh, I would like to try that. My very good friends are going to Thailand next month. They're like, they just told me that last night. They're like, we're gonna go to Thailand. where should we go? I was like, where should you go? Bangkok, of course. Should we go to Phuket? Yes, you should go to Phuket. Stay on Chalong Bay. Beautiful. All right, so before we continue on, let's work on our next part of the project. The dirty coffee from Nika community. So this is the coffee that Matt was talking about as a cold brew. So can it work as cold brew? I don't think he thinks it could work as cold brew. Let's give it a try. Let's make some cold brew and figure out how it goes. So what we're going to do is you can make cold brew in so many different ways. There's all kinds of contraptions you can buy, like the toddy brewers, which are great. You can buy brew towers. You can do all kinds of stuff. But really, at the end of the day, making cold brew is very simple. It's a very simple process. You don't need fancy gear, and I wanted to showcase that today, so that you can see if you're thinking about how would I make cold brew at home. This is one way to do it, and we're going to go through it a little bit now, and then again we're going to finish it tomorrow because we'll let it sit overnight at room temperature and come back to it then. So we got our coffee, we got our grinder. The Ojento. Now today we're going to take this grinder while we were grinding it for pour. We're going to all the way to coarse, full coarseness, because what we're using is immersion circuit. We're immersing the coffee with the water. So by going to the larger particulates, we are retarding the rate of extraction. And so the most we can do is whatever is as coarse as possible. Now you can go coarser by adjusting the machine's internals to go coarser, but that's a lot more work than you necessarily need to do. You could go full bean, but that takes an incredibly long time, and I would never recommend that. Although I did use whole bean infusions for certain applications that worked very well, but it's a whole process. Now, the basic ratio that a lot of people will use is 1 pound of coffee for 1 gallon of water. Right. So when you're talking about doing commercial brewing, you're typically doing it that way, 1 pound to 1 gallon. Now, we're going to use the same ratio, but we're not going to use that quantity because it's just way too much. What are we going to do? And when you do it that way, pound of coffee to a gallon of water, you're going to end up with basically a 1-to-1 concentration of cold brew, which means that when you're ready to use it, you'll take whatever amount of coffee you want to use of the concentrated cold brew, and you're going to mix that with an equal amount of water to create what we would consider a serving strength cup of coffee. Right? So that's going to be the kind of final goal. Now, like I said, you could use all kinds of methods and all kinds of contraptions, but we're just going to use a jar. Now, I have this jar because I had a bunch. I was actually going to use, my original thought was to use a Nalgene, but you could use anyway. You could use anything. Any vessel. A bowl will work, right? A bowl with saran wrap will be perfectly fine. I'm just going to use this because I've got extras of these lying around, and it's nice to put a label on it. Now, as you can see, it says Cold Brew 830, which means that the last time I used this bottle was back in August. So we're going to put that out as be 6/3, and we're going to say 11 a.m. And you don't have to do this, but I like to. Normally, the OCD part of me wants to replace this tape but I don't have any more tape with me. But this way you get to know it starts on 6/3, and then we start at 11 a.m., and that makes it just a little bit easier for you to track. Now, like I said, we're going to be using 1 pound for every gallon of water. So 1 pound is 453 grams. So we're going to use... How much does this hold? 1, 2, 3 pints. 3 pints. 4 pints. 4 pints is a quart, right? No, that's more than a quart. We're going to make a quart's worth of cold brew because God knows I won't be able to drink more than that. So we're going to make a quart's worth of cold brew, and we got a bigger vessel than we need so that we have more space for it, which is really important. So quart is 1/4, 453 grams. Hey Siri, what is 1/4 of 453? 113.25. Okay, so we're gonna weigh out 113.25. Well, maybe not 113.25, but something close to that. Okay, so let's tear. Okay, 52 grams, 113. Let's go to 53 grams. 53. We're going to start our grinding now while we do this. 53, so we need to have another 60 grams. This does take a little bit tedious, isn't it? So 60 grams. We don't have to be so precise because of the method that we're using. Now, let me make sure that we have enough space. Whoops. In this container, which we probably do. Okay, you know what? We're going to try it. Let's see. Let's push this little ode to see how much capacity we really can do. 113 grams of coffee in the ode Gen 2. Will it be too much? Oh, okay. So we're not too full. We're very full, but not overly filled. Okay, let's get this out of the way. Gotta try to clean and keep everything kind of nice. Okay, so we've got our coffee. Got our jar. 113 grams. Now, can I pour this in here without, losing it? Oh yeah, not bad. All right, finally, these fins are helping with something rather than just hindering. It did control that better. So now we've got all this ground coffee in here, and now we just need a quart of water. Kiana says, and noni when ripe is very pungent, although they make something similar to. Oh, we always read that already sometimes. And Naomi says that I do enjoy orange flavor with coffee or anything with orange notes in the coffee. Oh yeah, that sounds good. M0 says, I would definitely try that page. Again, your recommendation of that is literally a first of thought of combination of the two. Oh, okay, good. See, we learn new things here every day. Good. Peter says, I hated bitter melon and Brussels sprouts as a kid, but I don't mind it. I do like Brussels sprouts, especially with bacon, heated in the pan. Okay, so we got this water. I got this water. Right? This is actually the water is cold because I got it out of the fridge, but you don't have to use cold. You can just use room temperature water, whatever you want. You don't really have to do too much. Like there's people that be like, oh, you need to put ice, you need to do all this, and yes, you can do all that, and they may have an impact on the coffee, but you don't necessarily need it. You can just go very, very simple and just pour it in. And now we're just going to pour it in. You want to pour slowly and carefully and say, no, you don't have to care about any of it. Just pour it in like a beast if you want, like a beast. We're just going to pour it in. And the nice thing about having this larger, 2-quart container is that it gives us a lot of headroom, right? So we've got a lot of headroom now So we don't have to worry. Like if I put the coffee in here for the quart container, it'd be too much. It would just overfill. So it'll be uncomfortable. Now what we can do is, now you can see here it's not fully saturated, all the coffee, right? It's just kind of floating there on top. Now that's not a problem, because what we're going to do is we're going to take our lid, put it on top, and since that's airtight, we can just kind of slosh it around and make sure that everything is fully hydrated. And here's the thing, because we're using cold water or just room temperature water, if I was to put hot water, which I don't know why you do that for cold brew, but let's say put hot water and you put a cap on it, you did this, it would create pressure and would, want to like pop open when you. And now that it's all like hydrated, done. We're going to be done. We're not going to touch it again until tomorrow. We're just going to let it sit here, do its thing, extract the flavor into the water, and then we'll try it again tomorrow to see how it turns out. Right? So very easy to do. And if you want, you can put it in your refrigerator if you really want. Now, temperature, of course, is going to have some kind of impact on the extraction rate. So the warmer it is, the faster the extraction. The colder it is, the slower the extraction. Is it that much of a difference? It may be. And you'll want to try to, if you do this at home, you can try different timings and different like holding temperatures to see which coffee you really prefer. Like there's so many ways to impact this coffee that you can. Now, how we would do it at Spro is that we would have brew towers where we would brew coffee, 265 grams of coffee to a gallon of water, which would produce service strength coffee, because that's actually half the ratio of this, right? And those are like beautiful towers. They're super visual. Like people really love them. They're really great looking. But you're only producing a gallon at a time. So in order to do 5 gallons, you'd have to have 5 towers, which is visually stunning, but it's also kind of expensive and very labor intensive. Whereas you can do, like, we would actually also make big toddies, 5-gallon toddies, which allowed us to have 10 gallons of cold brew total in a much more compact setting, in a much more compact container with a lot less labor, right? So different ways of doing it. And this is very easy to do, very less labor. So you're just kind of done. And again, you can put it in your fridge or leave it on the counter. And if it's not too hot outside or inside your house, leave it on the counter. You don't have to worry about it. Taste it and then adjust. And as there's anything, you can adjust to tailor it to your taste. Especially if you're enjoying cold brew and you're going to drink a lot of it, as you make your different batches. And you can ratio this down so you don't have to make a quart, or this is actually equivalent to half a gallon when you're finally finished with it, right? Your total volume will be a gallon. So you can do a pint and to make a quart, or even less. And so you can do smaller batches and do different approaches to see if you have any variations that you prefer for your own cup of coffee. Ken says, I've actually seen it in Asian stores under the name Karela. Oh, Karela. I'm not familiar with that name. Paige says, crab is amazing and uni can be, yes, agreed. Jay's with us. What's going on, Jay? I've seen noni juice for sale for $30. Oh, $30. I've always wondered how it tasted. You should try it. Like maybe not for $30. Maybe there's some place that'll sell it to you like a cup of it, But I mean, even though a lot of people here will say noni is terrible. Like if I was to find it, I would still put it in my mouth. I mean, you gotta figure out like the nice thing about putting things in your mouth now compared to like in the day is that now you can put things in your mouth and you may not like it, but it's not going to kill you. Like if you were those guys out there hungry in the woods and you're like, look at that. Like, I don't even know how this came up, but like, here's this fungi growing on a piece of fallen, rotting wood. Let me put that in my mouth. Like, this is what I don't understand. Like, I'm like, well, I probably would have just died from starvation. Just been like, I can't live. Just can't put that in my mouth. And then one time I was in the Haight-Ashbury, right, in San Francisco. This is many years ago, maybe 20-some years ago. We're walking around the Haight with some friends, and we go to this, like, I don't know, like Co-op or Green, a kind of like vegan kind of place. And they're like, we're selling grass. It was called wheatgrass, freshly squeezed or freshly whatever extracted wheatgrass. And I was like, all right, let's give it a try. I'm going to try it. That was a mistake. Like I know a lot of people like wheatgrass, but man, I remember I tasted it. I was like, I'm drinking grass. Literally, I'm drinking grass. Like it's like I went outside to my lawn and just and started to chew on it and like create saliva and spit and swallowed it. Right. That's pretty much what I was drinking. Which not in and of itself wasn't necessarily a horrible thing. Right? Like, okay, it's a one-time thing. I'm not going to do it again. But the problem, it was kind of like the gift that kept on giving, because the rest of the day and maybe into the next day, like I would have burps and it would be grass. Like that was just like a constant reminder. Like no good. So I don't know. Keone says Opihi is amazing. I think the English name is Limpet. Oh, I didn't even know there was. Oh yeah, agreed. Like the Opihi's got that saltiness. I haven't had it in a very long time. Again, I just don't really want to climb out onto the rocks and scrape it off the rock. Which there's a part of me that thinks that if you're going to have Opihi, you really should do it that way to really be a part of it, right? Peter says I had some chittens last week. See, I don't know what chittens are. Is that a mushroom? Peter says I need to get some good tonic water or soda water and make orange espresso spritzers. Oh yeah, that sounds good. Peter said I'm in China next week and not sure in Japan. Oh, what part of China are you going to? That sounds kind of cool. I would like. My friend lives in Yunnan. He's always like, dude, you need to come down and visit. I was like, yes, I do. And Paige says I'm going to be in Maku City Thursday. Oh, that's awesome. Isn't that in so you're coming up here, right? Isn't it, Maku, you live here, right? Like Maryland, is that correct? Not as exciting as China. Well, it's exciting in its own way. Never says I never use the fins in the fins. Oh, fins in the coffee catcher cup, but rather use the AirPress funnel for pouring into. Oh, that's a smart way to go. Unfortunately, they don't give you the AirPress funnel anymore, and they charge more for the AirPress. It's no good. Peter says cold drip coffee didn't really take off, but cold drip tea is getting popular. What is cold drip tea? Cold drip, not cold brew. So cold, and what is cold drip? But I'm not familiar with the differentiation. No, it says cold brew in fridge versus left on the counter would be a good comparison. That is good. Well, maybe we'll do that in a future one. Once we figure out, like, do we even like this as a cold brew? Peter says, I got some cold brew noni in the fridge. Nice. Go to China now. M0 says, I've had wheatgrass shot. Not bad. Oh, you like it? Okay. Respect. Keone says that I've often wondered how Native Americans figured out how to eat acorns with the high levels of arsenic in them. I mean, I never even thought about that, but yeah, how many of them had to die before they figured out how to, and like your friend eats it, like, oh, look at this acorn. Let's see if it's good to eat. And he eats it and he dies. And what makes you think that, oh, I should try that? Maybe if I eat it a different way, I won't die. Like, wow, how does that happen? M0 says I had a buddy as a kid that used to pick up a single blade and chew and suck on it. Nice. I mean, I'm from Maryland. I know country people. I've seen them eating, and maybe the flavor of the lemongrass flavor is not necessarily horrid. It's just the burps that continued for hours after, that just remind you of this grass eating experience. It's like, why do I have the taste of my lawn in my mouth? And when you get burps of something, it's never pleasant, right? It's never, even if you had steak, it's not pleasant. Peter says, I'll take wheatgrass any day over noni. Oh, that's not bad, huh? Okay. Oh, in Charlotte. Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, that's right, Marco. You're in Charlotte. I forgot about that. Peter says, Yunnan region is beautiful. Nice tea and coffee too. Yeah. One of my friends is involved with coffee in Yunnan. He's always like, dude, the coffee here is very, very good. It's like, oh, I would like to go. All right. Speaking of going, it's time to go because I really should go and start to. I'm really supposed to go and like sharpen my chainsaw blade or chainsaw chain so that I can cut down this tree. I've been kind of putting it off. The weather's been nice this last few days. I'm kind of putting it off. Like, do I really want to go out there and like potentially cut my legs off? Time to go take my chances with it. So hope you have a wonderful day out there. Be back again tomorrow with more of the conclusion of our cold brew. Will it be good or will it be as bad as Matt says it is? So thanks, Ken. Have a good one. Peter, good to see you. Everybody, have a wonderful, wonderful day or evening wherever you are. Keone, good to see you as well. Back again tomorrow and see you then.